Hello, Danny here, and this is your step-by-step guide for removal and installing any wheel on any bike. First, you're gonna figure out two things, and then at the end of this guide, I'm gonna show you how to deal with very heavy e-bike if you cannot lift it somewhere on the trails. Let's hit it. First, let's determine the type of the axle you've got on your bike. This is the lever. If you have such a lever that you can open and close, and on the other side you have a nut, that means this is the quick release. But you can also have a lever that you can open and close. But if you don't have nut on the other side, that means this is the thru axle. That's important. This is also a thru axle, but with no lever. You simply use hex key to unthread it. And so when I unscrew it, you will see the axle turning on the other side, and it will be the same for the front wheel on the fork and for the rear wheel. This also looks like a lever, but you cannot open it. If you actually pull on it, you will see that this is the hex key, which is simply hidden in your thru axle. So this is still a thru axle system. You can use this mini tool for the rear wheel, front wheel, and for example the seat post clamp. Secondly, we need to determine the type of the brakes you have. When you see this rotor and such a caliper right here, these are the disc brakes. Here are the three types of the rim brakes. This is the V brake, really powerful, but you need to open it before you remove the wheel. This is a road bike with the caliper brake. It also brakes on the rim and has to be opened before the wheel removal. And this is super duper caliper brake. It also needs to be opened. I'm going to show you how. Once you determine the axle type and the brake type, you can start removing the wheel. This is the quick release, but you don't start with the lever, you actually start with the brake. If you don't open the brake, the wheel will not be removed from your bike. So first, start with this little rubber seal. You simply slide it, and then you can open one of the arms of your V-brakes. These are the V-brakes, so this is how it looks like. And once you open the brake, now you will be able to remove the wheel. I've seen it countless of times, people trying to force the wheel out of the bike or letting the air out from the tire so that it goes in between your brakes. No, you don't have to do it. So once the brake is open, now I open the lever, and surprise, surprise, on the front wheel, unlike on the rear one, there is a special protection right here. So you cannot simply open the lever, you also need to unscrew the nut a little bit. You can either unscrew the nut or you can hold the nut and unscrew the lever. Important, you do not disassemble your quick release. I mean, you will be able to remove the wheel, but you don't have to do it. You simply unscrew the nut by a couple of turns. And now the wheel is free to go, and it's okay to put the bike on the floor like this. Now we are doing everything in the reverse direction. First, I'm opening my V-brakes, so the arms of the brake, and now I need to find the right spot for the dropouts on the axle, just like this, and the gravity helps you, so make sure your wheel sits in those dropouts. Now I fasten the lever, and once I feel resistance, I back off a little. Now I'll just check, oh, this is too stiff, so I will unscrew the nut a little, check it again. Will it close nicely? Still, it's too stiff. You don't use a lot of force to close your lever, the quick release. It goes like this, and woman will be able to do that. Make sure your wheel is centered in the fork or in the frame. We'll do the rear wheel also. And now we can close the brake. You can do it in the wrong way. So this will be the wrong way when your brake is not fully locked. This is wrong. We need to move that silver little pipe around a little and push it into its place. Now it's locked. Now the rubber seal, and we are done. Then spin the wheel and check if it's okay. And now this 30 years old Scott with cantilevers. You see, these arms are bent and shorter, so it's different than a V-brake, but they are okay. On one side there is fastening bolt. You don't even touch it, because on the other side there is a little clasp. So this is how you open it. And now you can remove or install the wheel. When you put it back, make sure the end of the cable goes into place, because you can also make it wrong. If you have any issues with locking it back into place, you may help yourself with the other hand. Just push it right there and you will feel it clicked into it. Nice. Now the road bike. Most of the road bike brakes will have the lever somewhere at the end of the braking cable right here. It may not look like the lever, but it is a lever. See, I'm opening it and you see larger distance between the braking pads and the rim. Opened, and then you need to close it after you install the wheel. It's time for the disc brake. It's a rare mix, the quick release and the disc brake, but it's pretty easy. You open the lever, you unscrew it by a couple of turns on the front wheel, and now you can remove the wheel. You don't have to open anything on the caliper. But when you install the wheel back on your bike, you need to put the rotor in between the braking pad first and then install the wheel. So again, this is wrong. I'm hitting the rotor against the braking pads or the caliper of this disc brake. So now I'm putting it in between the braking pads and then I'm looking at the axle. So first your rotor and then the dropouts of your fork. That's it. Now fasten the nut so that your lever won't be too loose when locked nor too hard to lock, and don't lock it against the frame, the fork, don't lock it against the caliper brake, against anything. When it's locked, it shouldn't be touching anything. So the right position on this is wrong, the right position on this bike will be just like this. Again, not too much force. You never try to turn this lever for fastening your wheel, as some people do. You never do it. It's either open or locked. When you see close on it, that means the wheel is now locked. When you see open, that means you cannot ride the bike right now. It's unlocked, it's open. This is why it's called the quick release. You can quickly release the wheel or lock it into place. After installing the wheel, always turn it. Oh yeah! Now more modern through axle, you already know it can have such a lever, or it might be operated with the hex key. In either case, you simply unthread it from your bike, either frame or the fork. When it stops moving, that means you can already pull on it and remove it from the bike. The key word with through axle is wiggle. If you have any troubles with removing it or putting it back into frame, you wiggle the bike or you wiggle the wheel. You see, this is the thread. It should be always greased and clean. Don't worry, after removing the axle, your fork won't fall down on your wheel. Now I remove it, and this is the moment to compare your quick release to the through axle. These are the dropouts for the quick release, and these are the dropouts for the through axle. So the difference is obvious. Now you know everything about it. All right, let's install the wheel with the through axle. So you know already, first the rotor in the brake and then the dropouts on the axle of my hub. Remember, don't ever put your through axle on the ground, on the soil, on anything that's dirty, because this thread must be clean. Otherwise, you might damage your frame even. So keep it clean. Oh, my light just turned off. Okay, we're back. Grease the thread and grease the contact points between the axle and, in this case, the fork or the frame for the rear wheel. And again, if you cannot put it back, wiggle the wheel and the axle. These things are not made well, in my opinion. It should be easier to put it there. Thus, some people will get frustrated and damage the thread. So be just slow. Now, when I start feeling some resistance, I go back a little. Okay, this is too light. This is too light. A little bit more. And you can also adjust this tension on Fox forks. This is also through axle, but with the hex key, and the rear wheel is different. Let me tell you why. This is the rear derailleur, brand new, of my client's bike, who put the rear wheel in the wrong way. It's totally bent, it's just destroyed. So watch it step by step. Firstly, you need to put the chain on the smallest sprocket on the cassette. Now, how do you do it? If you're on the trails, you have rear wheel flat, let's say. How do you turn it and shift? In order for your bike not to ride away, you pull on the front brake. Now the bike is leaning against my body. I'm shifting the rear derailleur and spinning the cranks. You don't need clipless shoes for that. Now it's done. and we can proceed to step number 2. Easy, right? Easy, because now you know it. Now we are moving to the back of your bike. I'm putting the hex key into the thru axle and check whether you have the Shimano derailleur with a clutch. Microship, for example, also have a clutch. In the Shimano derailleur, there's a little lever right here. If it's locked, the cage is moving in the hard way. It's stiff. When you open it, it will be easier for the derailleur to give away to the cassette. You will see that in a second. So open it for removal and installing the wheel always. It's a really good idea, especially on the trails, to find something to put your greasy axle on. That's what I did. Now, nothing happens with the bike, it's still standing on the axle, and you need to do the trick with the rear derailleur. I'm gonna show a close-up in a second. I'm removing the wheel, and let's see it again. So, don't force it through the cassette, just like I'm doing with my client's bike right now. You need to let it swing to the back and give away to the cassette. You see, I'm pulling on it and now my wheel is free. This is very important. During installation, remember that the lower part of the chain has to be below the cassette and the upper part of the chain needs to be put on the smallest sprocket. If you have shifted the derailleur on it, which I think you did. Only now the axle will be nicely moving into the dropouts. Just like that, you also remember to grease your axle. And just like with the front wheel, first you were looking at the rotor and then at the dropouts of the bike. And now wiggle it and push the axle. When you watch the XCO World Cups, you will see bike mechanics sometimes having problems putting the wheel back on. So make sure that the axle is going nicely centered into that thread. And here's how my customer has bent the derailleur and the chain even. He's put the chain between the frame and the sprocket. So make sure you see it. This sprocket, 10 teeth, is small. So don't do this. Okay, now the quick release and the rim brakes, in this case V-brakes. The chain is on the smallest sprocket. We open the brakes. You know how to do it now with the caliper brakes, with the V-brakes, with the road brakes. You open the lever. You don't need to unscrew the nut because on the rear wheel there is no such protection as on the front one. I just gave away with the derailleur for the cassette and now I can remove the wheel. Always make sure that the tire doesn't go through your braking pads. Like right now, for example, sometimes you need to move those arms of the V-brakes to the sides. I close it, it's done. Close the brake, spin the wheel. It's time for 2 tricks with the e-bike. People are using larger and larger batteries. The e-bikes are heavy. If you cannot lift it, first check whether there is anything standing out from your handlebars, which could be damaged when you put the bike upside down. Yes, upside down. This is cool. I use these foams here in the studio, but you can simply use grass on the trails. Remove the battery, the bike will be much lighter. And now, brake the rear wheel. Pull on the handlebars. You already have your bike halfway there. Now I'm simply putting it on the saddle and then on the handlebars, and if you are not able to deal with the weight of the bike, that's how you can do it in emergency. I repeat, emergency, so that you don't do this move, okay? The other way to do it is not on the drive side, but is to put it on the non-drive side. Very important here. You want to have your left pedal not on the 6 o'clock. It should be up there on the 12 o'clock. Now I'll just let the bike lie down on the left side, again non-drive side, and the pedal on the 12 o'clock. And now you simply pull on the front wheel and the fork, and same effect, your bike will be upside down. Now how to deal with the wheel change here. Many bikes will have big forks, big travel. On this forks there's additional protection. So first you need to release this bolt that protects your axle, and then you can actually unthread your thru axle. All the other things you already know. It's simple. Remove the axle, remove the wheel. Done by anyone with no weightlifting. Now the rotor goes in between the braking pads. It's there. Now I'm looking at the axle. It goes in between the dropouts of the fork. Now the axle goes in place and we thread it with the normal force. So it doesn't matter whether you have the protection screw or not, then the protection bolt and spinning the wheel. Okay. Rear wheel. You can easily shift into the smallest sprocket right here and you do everything just like we did before, but now you pull on the derailleur a little bit different so that it actually, you see, it will actually push your wheel up there. Yes, this derailleur is also bent. So going back, I need to pull the chain on the smallest sprocket. We are upside down, remember? And now again, when I pull on the derailleur, it will give away for the cassette. And now I can install the through axle. It's not complicated and it's not heavy. The only thing to do is to follow this guide step by step so that you won't damage your bikes. Thank you for watching. You can support me by simply using some links in the description. You don't have to pay me for this job. I love it and I'm doing it for you. Regards from my mountain biking base.